Okay, perfect. Thomas Q. Jones, thank you for having us, the official Black magazine. You are someone who took football and changed the trajectory of your entire career. So I really want to start there. How has football really shaped you and how you even tackle a tough industry like the entertainment field?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for having me be a part of your magazine. I'm a big fan. I've been a big fan for a long time. I appreciate what you all do for the culture and promoting Black talent. So thank you for having me be a part of it. Playing 12 years in the NFL literally molded me for what I'm doing now in Hollywood as an actor and as a producer. They're very similar industries. A lot of people are kind of surprised, but from just how competitive it is to how specific you have to be successful in this business, to how much you have to study, how much preparation goes into it.
Mhm.
There's a lot of elements from football that are naturally brought into this industry, and I think that's why I've been able to make such a fast transition and such an efficient transition.
Nice. What are some of those elements that you were able to take? Because sometimes people in this industry, people always think, "Oh, well, you were in sports, so you think it's easier just because you have the fame." But maybe there's a certain type of je ne sais quoi that you get from being in sports, be it football, basketball, soccer, tennis, that allows you to learn and study the craft at a faster pace, which
Right.
doesn't marginalize, I should say, diminish your ability to actually be a good actor, even if you weren't classically trained at an early age.
Right. Well, actually, being an athlete is kind of is seen as a negative in a way if you're a real actor, a real creator, because a lot of times people will say athletes make cameos in projects. They see you in a project and they're like, hey, well, Thomas Q. Jones made a cameo, or Michael Jordan made a cameo, LeBron James had a cameo. And if you're a trained actor, that's a little offensive because it's like, no, I trained for this, I studied for the audition, I booked the role, and I earned the right to be on the show as an actor. And whatever that character is, versus me being Thomas Jones from the Bears, that just so happened to meet someone that gave me a role on the show just because I was famous.
Yeah.
That was what I wanted to avoid, which is one of the main reasons why I added my middle initial to my stage name, which is Thomas Q. Jones, because I wanted to separate Thomas Jones, the NFL player, from Thomas Q. Jones, the actor, producer. And it paid off. A lot of people don't even realize that I'm the same person until after they've already seen me act. And then they're like, he looks familiar. And then they Google it and it's like, whoa, that's Thomas Jones from the Bears. I'm like, no, no, you saw Thomas Q. Jones first.
Yeah.
So now the respect is there as an actor, especially if I did a great job. But in regards to just some of the specifics that it takes to be successful in this business, like, I mean, I I trained for 4 years. I had a lot of catching up to do after I retired in the NFL, and I moved to LA. I got into an incredible actor studio with Ivana Chubbuck and France Turner, and I studied with them for 4 years, and I also studied with Scott Sedita for 3 years. So for 4 years, I was in acting classes 6 hours a week,
Oh,
every
wow.
week, all year round. And so I was playing catch up, and I was in class with some really incredible actors and some incredible coaches. And plus, I dedicated myself to the craft. I was humble enough to understand that I have to learn something new, that I'm not going to be great initially. I have to learn. I have to continue to work at the craft and study and imitate and watch and study and imitate, similar to how I was in the NFL,
Mhm.
watching other running backs, watching other offenses, and studying film. So when it's game day, I'm prepared. I'm not thinking about what I have to do technically. I'm just reacting. And that's what I was able to do as an actor. And that's why I think I've had some success early in my career.
Nice. I love that. And I think the difference is when you're trained as a classical actor, the ones who kind of maybe know their parents, because I'm from LA. So you have those parents who were like, we're pushing you to auditions and you're in these schools. There's high schools dedicated to it out here. You know
Right.
what I mean? Hollywood High, Fairfax, everyone's like, these will get you into the next college. But also, I think it creates a sense of almost, and people might, and I don't want to offend anybody, but it creates a sense of self entitlement that when in sports, you don't get that sense of self entitlement because what happens on the fields lets you know if Thomas Jones is the man on the field. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's easier where maybe you did get that type of love. So I think that's the thing. That's a testament to people like yourselves who come from a sport where industry where it's like I've always had to prove myself. So I don't, and then you're able to roll with the punches too, because you're in front of crowds of thousands of people, millions watching you. So rejection doesn't affect you the same way either.
You hit the nail on the head. You hit the nail on the head. I didn't come into this business with a sense of entitlement because I already knew that I had to prove to people, number one, that I was serious.
Yeah.
That was the first step. Is he serious? Does he just want to be on TV? Does he just want to say he's an actor? That was the first step. And then I had to convince people that I'm a good actor.
Yeah.
That I actually know what I'm doing. I can convince you that I'm this character as you're watching it. You can emotionally connect to the character and you can live vicariously through the character. So there were certain levels that I had to surpass just to earn the respect of other actors and the audience members watching my TV shows or my films. And yeah, in the NFL, it's in real time. Politics, they may allow you to get on the field, maybe. Uh, Not too much in the NFL unless you're drafted high and they have to at least give you an opportunity to earn their money back based off of the money that they invested in you. But it's only a matter of time before your talent is going to show, or the talent you don't have is going to show. And the thing about professional sports is that your rise and your demise is on display for the world to see. There's no editing in the NFL. If I fumble the ball in the game, there's no editing that. The audience saw it, my teammates saw it, the defense caused it, and now they have the ball. And if we lose the game, the next day the writer's going to write about it. So criticism is an everyday thing in the NFL. You expect it. You understand that it's warranted because the stakes are so high. So coming into this business, the hardest part is just getting told no, for an audition. But I'm not getting tackled. I'm not taking a risk and breaking my leg, unless I'm doing some crazy stuff. But for the most part, it's a pretty safe industry compared to football. And I'm not as sore after class. So so it's a little bit different in that way, but the stakes are very high.
So the worst thing someone could tell you was no, you don't get the part, and then for you, it's just like, well, I'm going out for the next part then.
Yeah, I'm going out for the next part, or let me just create my own show. Let me
I
just
love
create my
that.
own, and pitch it and see if someone believes in whatever my narrative and my truth is that I want to promote. And then now I'm in control of my own destiny. So there's a little more freedom to be an actor in Hollywood versus being an NFL player because there's only 32 teams.
Yeah. Nice. I love that. Now transitioning to acting, where did this love come from? Because that's a thing where people will, say, "No, Thomas, you just did it because you retiring. You're just, you guys." They honestly treat NFL football player, NFL basketball, doesn't matter whatever sport you come from. They treat you all as if like you're tired housewives almost. Like, well, you're just bored. They almost act as if you're just bored, and they don't believe that you had a passion that maybe you just didn't explore because there was a more immediate opportunity. So with that, where did this love, or was there always a love for entertainment in you?
I think there was always a love for entertainment in me. I had a music label for a few years when I was in the NFL, so I loved music. I loved managing artists, and I had a label. Actually had a record deal with Universal Music when I played for the Jets in New York. So I've always been interested in the entertainment, but I wasn't. I never thought I would be an actor. I retired and I ended up working on this project, producing it, just because I was bored, to be honest. And I took a small role in it, playing Clifton Powell, the legendary Clifton Powell's nephew. And Clifton Powell was the one that actually encouraged me to take acting seriously. He thought I had some raw talent with just some of the scenes that we filmed. And he calls me nephew. I was his nephew on the show, and he calls me nephew now to this day. Nephew, nephew. He's like, nephew, you need to take this serious. I'm telling you, you got some raw talent. You need to take this serious. And he just kept pushing me. And I said, okay, listen, all right, I got you. So I said, I'm gonna get a manager and see what this acting thing is about. And as I maneuvered through the industry, and I found a manager and an agent, and I moved to LA and got in acting classes, I started to understand this was something that I needed because it helped me connect to myself outside of being an NFL player. It helped me reinvent myself. It opened me up to different perspectives, different people, different cultures. The NFL is an incredible opportunity, but there's no room to really grow as a person. You grow as a football player, right? Whereas an actor, there's different scripts and different characters and different lifestyles and different perspectives that I have to portray as the character that's living that experience. And so you have to study that experience to be able to bring the character to life. And so, at the same time, you're learning and you're evolving. And so it became therapeutic for me. That's where the love developed. And for me with acting, it's because I realized acting is helping me evolve as a person, and it's helping me deal with trauma and vulnerabilities and weaknesses that you can't show as a football player. And I think that's us in our natural human state is openly vulnerable people. But as a football player, you can't show weakness and vulnerability because we're taught to prey on that on the field. But in acting, the biggest emotion that the audience can connect to is your vulnerability, because that's what most people don't want to show. So they live vicariously through your vulnerability, and that's why they can appreciate characters that are the most vulnerable.
Nice. It sounds like you went to two polar opposites of things. When you said about, NFL, there's no vulnerability because they're looking for your weakness. They should not be able to see any of Thomas's weakness on or off this field. You have to be so cognizant of everything you're doing, even being in the limelight. You know what I mean? Even in the acting world, you still have to be cognizant because paparazzi and all the craziness that goes with it. But when it's like when you're on the field, you have to have this mask. But when you're on the stage or on set, you do have to have a mask on for the character, but you actually have to take off your own mask so that the mask of the characters can actually portray to the audience so that they can connect with you.
Right, totally, exactly what you said. In the NFL, if I'm playing the Ravens and Ray Lewis tackles me, and I know he hit me good, I can't show that. I have to at least wait until I'm on the sidelines, away from him, because if he sees it, he already knows by the way he hit me that I got him.
Yeah.
But if I get up and I don't show him that, then he's like, maybe I didn't. And now I can get to the sidelines and like, oh, or on the same thing with me. If Ray Lewis is trying to tackle me and I hit him and I knock his, I don't know. I don't want to say what we say in football, but
no, it's okay. We're raw here. I'm
hitting Ray Lewis. I knock the shit out of him. It's like he can't let me know that because I know he's hurt. So now psychologically, it's a mind game. It's chess. Yeah. So we try to constantly mentally one up each other throughout the course of the game, because whoever wins that mental battle is going to end up winning that battle individually, which is the overall game. So that's the NFL. You can't show weakness. You can't show vulnerability. It's all about mental toughness. It's all about discipline. It's irrational. That's not how real life goes. But that's how that's how the NFL goes. If you want to be successful, if you want to play a long time, you have to abide by these rules. Whereas an actor, if you don't show vulnerability and honesty, and you're not willing to strip down to who you are as a person, then you're going to have very surface performances. And a lot of actors stay where they are in their career because their insecurities might not let them be as vulnerable as they should be. Mm-hmm. And for me, I found it to be refreshing that I'm in a place where I don't have to be tough and be this, impenetrable NFL player all year round. Yeah. I can actually be human. You know what I'm saying? Like something may have happened earlier in the day. Maybe I got into a disagreement with somebody I care about, or maybe I found out some bad news about somebody I care about, or maybe I found out some good news about somebody I care about. And now I have those raw emotions to just drop right into the character and compartmentalize those emotions with whatever the storyline is or whatever the scene is. So being in classes for all those years taught me to take those emotions and deal with them with my characters. And that's become a sort of therapy and release for me. So it's been a pretty healthy transition on top of just being fun.
Nice. I love that because it really shows that with this, you were able to find your own, as you know, we always love to say black boy joy, right? I think we need to, I guess black man joy just doesn't have the same ring to it. We want to see, you know what I mean? But you know, you're able to find this type of like, you're able just to be, you know, it's like it's funny because the words and the connotations you use are just like human being, just being. And it's like you're not just Thomas Jones, the black man football player, you're just Thomas, a person going through everyday life that has the freedom to say, hey, Mike, I'm pissed off. Hey, Mike, I'm actually really sad. Hey, Mike, I'm enthusiastic. All the things that even outside of football that most black men can't do because it's hard. You're too enthusiastic. Why is he so joyous? Or you're too sad. Toughen up. You know what I mean?
It seems like, obviously black people in general, we're very limited to how human we can be based off of society standards and just history. But black men are especially expected to not show emotion, to be violent, to um, toughen up, take it like a man. It feels like every other man on the planet culturally has the space to be human. But when we do it, we're soft or we're weak or when we're too emotional, then we're too aggressive. None of our emotions as black men are justified, it seems
Yeah.
like. We don't have any justifiable emotions. And I think we when we're born into a world that says that to us at a young age as boys, and you grow into a man with the same expectations. So it's a vicious cycle that's been around for a long time with black men. And that's why I feel like I'm maybe a vehicle for change, or to at least advocate for some sort of change, because I came from a world, not only just football, but how I grew up, where that was the narrative. And now being an actor, I'm able to say it's okay to be human, even if you're not an actor, even if you're not a football player, even if you're not, even if you come from a tough environment, still okay, because that's all a psychological situation that's gonna explode at some point. Good, bad, or indifferent, it's gonna explode. So yeah, I mean, I think for me, I'm just taking pride in being an example of a black man that can come from one extreme of almost inhumane behavior to realizing that it's cool and it's fine and it's justifiable for me to be a human again.
Yeah. Nice. I love that. And moving forward, now talking about narratives, it's so important. And you mentioned it earlier about, if I don't get a role, I'm gonna make my own thing. So you have this, you have your production company, Midnight Train Productions, right? And
Right.
you are the ones who also produce the Johnsons, correct?
Right. My producing partner, Deji LeRae, we're co founders of Midnight Train Productions. That's our production company. We produce TV, film, documentaries, everything under that name. And Deji LeRae is actually the creator of our TV show on Bounce TV entitled Johnson.
Nice. Spoiler alert, he's in the same issue you're in.
That's great. I wouldn't have it any other way.
So it's like cool, always perfect. I love when these things happen. With that, what was the thought process behind Midnight Train Productions? And it's just you seem very intentional on controlling the narrative and creating
Yeah,
space.
yeah. I think for Deji and I, Deji created Johnson actually in 2014. And Johnson, just for anyone that hasn't seen the show, is a series, a dramedy about four black men that grew up together as kids since elementary school. And they become best friends ever since. But they just so happen to all four have the same last name, Johnson. And so they're not brothers by relation, but they're brothers by life. And they help each other go through their individual conflicts. They have different essences, different complexions, different energies, different conflicts as well. And you see how Black men are more than one dimensional with these four guys because they all look totally different. They all have different, like I said, energies, different personalities, but they all click. When you watch the show, you see all four of the guys together. It's like, oh, because usually you see a certain type of Black guy friends with another type of Black guy.
Yeah.
They group us together as though we all can't just click and understand each other's experience. And that's symbolically Johnson stands for the Black male experience because even though we're all drastically different in how we dress and how we move, we still understand some specifics about being a Black man that brings us together, you know. But yeah, Deji and I were very intentional with this show because we felt like there wasn't enough balance when it comes to the portrayal of Black men in the media. Usually you see us laughing at life, not taking anything seriously, or you see us struggling to the point to where we have to commit crimes to make it. And that's not all Black men. That's a percentage of Black men and a small percentage of Black men, to be honest. But the majority of us are, honest Black men just trying to make a living, with ambitions and dreams. And we're hard workers, we're good fathers, we're good brothers, we're good sons. We take care of our families, but we just didn't feel like that was being portrayed enough. And so we wanted to create something and put something out there that showed us in a different light than what people were used to.
Nice. I love that. What can we expect from Midnight Train Productions?
We have several projects. Obviously, I can't get into
that. You know what's funny saying? So what can you say? You're like, well, it ruins everything. Spoiler alert.
But we're a diverse company. I would say that we don't limit our content to one narrative. This is just Johnson is one show with a specific narrative about honest Black men, the majority of Black men that we all know. Yeah. More people know a Black man that's taking care of his kids than not. Most Black people know a Black man that is trying to go to college than is in the streets. Most Black people know more Black men like that than what you see on TV, what you hear on the radio. And if you let TV and radio tell it we're all criminals, we're all hypersexual, we're all innately evil.
Yeah,
that's just the constant narrative from the music to what's on TV, what's in the film, even how other cultures write our characters on their projects. Some of them, they can't even see us as any way but on the wrong side of the spectrum. And so we wanted to make sure that we were taking care of our business and creating a narrative that spoke our truth and taking the bull by the horns and making sure that it was told through the eyes and the mouths of Black men that are living this life, not just, somebody that has the opportunity because they're in a privileged position to write who we are. So we're not dedicated to just Black male POV content. We're dedicated to content that entertains and enlightens across the board, regardless of whatever subject matter is.
Nice. I love that. I definitely think it's so important, even like from a publication standpoint. It has to be from our own social and cultural perspective. I think the problem is nowadays we have this issue on being so inclusive sometimes where it's like, no, because there's only one person that could tell my story and they have to look like me. Even if you don't look like me and you grew up next to me, you still can't tell my story. It does, know what I mean? It's like there's a difference between storytelling and other things that you can help me with in life. But that's why it's important what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think inclusion and diversity is obviously it's incredible because you're able to cross promote from a business perspective, and you're also able to teach different perspectives to other cultures. But I think for Black women and Black men, we've been misrepresented for so long in the media by people who have had access to create our narratives that it's time for us to take over how we want to be seen. And Deji and I say this all the time, Black women have done an incredible job of doing that over the last 20 years of creating their own content, creating their own shows, taking the bull by the horns and saying, hey, this is how we want to be seen. This is how we want to be heard. And now it's time for Black men to do the same thing, but not in the typical way that we've done it. There's nothing wrong with those shows that portray Black men in a certain light, whether it's the struggle, whether it's laughing to keep from crying, whatever that is, because that's a part of our culture too. But I think it's also equally important for Black men to say, hey, let's show the nuanced details of our lives on a day-to-day basis that are relatable to all human beings, that no matter who you are, if you thought you couldn't connect to a Black man that looks like me because you have this idea of who I am, watch Johnson and you'll see we're more alike than you could have ever imagined.
Nice. I love that. I don't have any more. I don't have too many more questions. I like to be conscious of the time. So Thomas, as a producer, I've gotten the feel of Thomas as an actor, as an athlete, as just a human being, but as a producer, what's the real goal for Thomas to really no, not about the projects or something, but what's that legacy you want to leave when someone see, if they go to your IMDb or if they just talk about the things you've produced? What's something you want people to take away years from now?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I think I want people to appreciate how dedicated I was to making real content. And when I say real content, no disrespect to any other content, but content that actually is thought provoking. It's the entertainment industry. So you have to entertain people. They have to watch and be entertained. But you can't get on your soapbox and preach. And people, they get enough of that on social media. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? It's like
Everybody woke.
right. If you want to be preached to, just turn on TikTok or Instagram and Twitter and bam, it's right there. But at the same time, outside of entertaining people, I want to make sure that there's a message underneath. And we're telling a perspective from someone that might feel like they haven't been heard. And they can say, whoa, somebody else gets it. Somebody else gets it. Because a lot of times now, we're in the copycat world where people just copy and paste. They copy and paste, they change the location, they change the names of the characters, but it's the same conversation.
Living single
You know what I'm
friends.
saying? I mean, well, I mean, yeah, it's like, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that because that's real life. And if that's your passion, hey, make that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as Black people, there are way more conversations that need to be had, way more conversations that people are interested in hearing. And this is the perfect time as a creator to make whatever you want. So many platforms are looking for content. It's beautiful right now for Black creators to be able to step in and make some noise in this business. You look at someone like Issa Rae, who did a web series and believed in it.
Yeah.
And now look, she's one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, all because she bet on herself and believed in her own narrative and her truth, that she promoted and pushed it. Same thing with what Deji and I are doing with Johnson. It's all we're doing is saying this is what Black men really think on a day-to-day basis. That's all we're doing. It's like when Deji writes all the scripts and we collaborate on just some of the storylines and some of the character arcs. This is just what we do every day. But to people watching the show, they're like, they hear about it and they know it because they live it, but they never see it on TV. So they're like, whoa, I just talked about that. Like we just talked about that yesterday. You know what I'm saying? So it's as great as the content is, it's a very simple idea because it's just real life.
Yeah.
So I want people to know with Midnight Train Productions and Thomas Q. Jones as a producer is that I'm taking everyone's perspective in consideration, and I want to give a voice to people who don't think people have heard them yet.
Nice. I love that. Last question. All of this you've learned. What is one piece of advice you want to give to Black men?
One piece of advice that I would give to Black men is that you are good enough. You are good enough. It's a lot of pressure on Black men. a lot of pressure from everybody. And a lot of times we don't have the space to release pressure or even talk about the pressure because we're expected to deal with the pressure no matter what the circumstances are, no matter where we came from, no matter what situation we're in, we're expected to deal with the pressure. Oh, we're not good enough. You don't have enough money. You don't look good enough. You don't have enough swag. So that's why when I say you are good enough, every Black man that's doing his best to live an honest living and trying to make ends meet and chasing his goals, just know that you are good enough, regardless of what society says or what anybody else says. And I think if more of us believe that and work with that in the back of our minds, I think we'll definitely make a change in how people see us and also just our production across the board.
Nice. That's amazing. Thank you so much. I'm glad to end it on that note. That's one of the best ones to end. I'm just going to end the recording right now for us.